Also, most importantly, with that Spark now, he does have a full turn 4 play with a 3-drop into Spark if he really wants. I like it. And now it's just... This is the thing,
now
right?
now Don has to think about what he's going to do, because there's... You pretty much have to Banana Buffoon. There's nothing else you can do with your hand, really. So I'm curious if it would have been better to Banana Buffoon last turn, just say whatever, your Spark Engine kills this, and then I'll try to actually get value off of Luna. I don't hate that he took a risk there.
It continues to be, like, this kind of hand is why I'm being more and more convinced that double Sandbinder is just... Is it Sandbinder?
Yeah, Sandbinder.
Yeah, okay.
Not Seabinder.
I feel like double Sandbinder just... Yes, of course it would be good on curve to draw you a giant when you don't have any hand. But kind of. That's like kind of my point, right?
Good,
like, like running 2 of, you know, they draw you giants or cyclones, which are the 2 key cards, the key minions in the deck. Because I feel like this deck only falls over when you get one of these hands that's very either spell heavy or just doesn't have anything to actually do.
It kind of feels like old Miracle Rogue, where like sometimes you just
get beat
like
by your own hand.
6 mana, cool, pass, your turn, you know. And then there's other times where you just do a crazy amount of stuff.
And sometimes you can go big with the Cyclone, and sometimes it still whiffs because the spells just aren't either good or relevant to the game right then and there. Which means, cool, I've got 4 spells in hand that I've generated. None of them really do anything. So even me going off on all these spells didn't achieve much. It's not as consistent as, say, for example, Miracle Rogue back in the day.
I like this from Don. His hand is going nowhere really fast, so he's trying to find a way to make it go somewhere.
Do something, right? Like, that's what I mean. You have to do something. Even if these spells don't end up being mind-blowing, it's which they're definitely not mind-blowing. This is kind of what I'm talking about. Look, he has to do... This is what I mean, right?
This is interesting. This could also be a setup for Sea Giant, right? Because he freezes 2 minions. It's unlikely these get killed off. And if they do get killed off, I mean, if they get killed off, then the Sea Giant's really not coming down. But this lets him do something, right? Yeah. Instead of just waiting for something to be drawn and just taking too much damage from Tyler, he's saying, all right, I'm going to have to do something here, so let's do this now. Let's make something happen.
It's really tough, though, isn't it? Because it's definitely not the best players in... I'm saying it's a bad play to do, but... Not the best thing a mage player can do on these turns, is what I mean,
you don't often want to conch calling a 2-drop.
Even with the Sea Giant, or let's say, you know, in the world without it, Dawn kind of went off there.
Yeah.
And it didn't really achieve much, right? Because if he plays a Sea Giant and it just gets killed by something already on the board...
he spent resources, he spent the Giant, and then it's like, now what?
And look at this, the spells are bad too.
They're not great. You could do some stuff with this.
Really? Like concede?
No, you could you could set up to try to get a blast wave value. Like you could trade the 2/3 into okay. I kind of like this.
Oh, if only there was a cheeky Arcane Intellect with mana to pay.
So this is nice. This lets Don knows that Tyler's only running 1 Brawl on the main list. So this lets Don kind of just develop a board and say, all right, this is going to be my kind of push right now. If you don't know the Brawl, cool. Start trading off your minions. And even if like the Giant's cleared, there's just enough stuff left on board that it lets Don do something for a couple turns until he can find something else to do. Now that's not necessarily going to work out as Don hopes, because Tyler does have a Warpath and he has drawn the second one as well. So I very much expect to see the board get cleared here. He's just trying to probably figure out if there's a way he can do it.
I think just 2 Warpaths armor up is probably the way, right?
Yeah. Clears the board. You left with a 3/1,
and you press the armor button, which you've got Shield Slam in hand. Even if you end up Shield Slamming a Sorcerer's Apprentice, you know what? You'll probably take it at this position in the game.
Perhaps, yeah. Don's really low on resources, so anything that gets developed, if Tyler just clears it, it's going to be hard for Don to find a game plan.
Well, I feel like right now you have a read that there's no Mountain Giant.
Right.
And you've just seen 2 Conjurers calling.
Oh, okay, no, we're fine. Oh, no, we're not. It looked like the... when you play Book of Spectres and your hand stays stationary, it looks like all 3 cards are discarded, but it was just a bit of a delay in the...
Yeah, because we're viewing Tyler's side, and then Dawn's hand is Dawn's side of the game too, so it's a slight delay.
So it lost the mirror images, but that's honestly about as good as you can expect a Book of Spectres to be in this deck. Like, it could be pretty disastrous. So
and it was mirror images, you'll take that every day of the week. Yeah.
But again, Dawn recognizes he's not in a great spot. He needs to do something that can help him get there, even if it's a bit risky. Tyler taking the time to just play out Dr. Boom Mad Genius. There's only one bomb in the deck for Dawn, so Blastmaster Boom isn't that great.
He doesn't need it to be right now, though, does he?
That's the thing. He doesn't.
Tyler, for example, I'm seeing it's extremely likely. Obviously, we can see the hands, but now as the turn's being played out, Tyler has Acolyte and then Warpath.
Yeah.
So we draw 3 cards, and I won't say clear the board, because it depends what the board looks like in terms of health, but potentially clear the board.
So we didn't touch this when we were reviewing Tyler's list, but Tyler's running 2 Acolyte of Pain, so this... he's running 1 Elic. He's got a few other cards too, but this gives him more of a consistent game. Oh, okay, I like the bananas. This is more a consistent game plan where it's like, all right, I'm gonna draw more stuff, and then I'm gonna do that good stuff, you know, instead of just trying to get more.
And here we go.
This is interesting in a couple ways. So Dawn recognizes that he still needs to do something, so he makes a board with a Vex Scroll. The double bananas means that the Vex Scroll is out of range of that second Warpath if Tyler were to have it, and even with a Brawl. All right, then the Brawl's gone, right? So the Warcraft is kind of funny. Tyler can still say, all right, I'm just going to triple Warpath you, then go Microbots. Warpath doesn't do a whole lot for the mage, but it does increase your hand size, the mage's hand size, which might give Dawn the potential to play a Giant.
What's funny is the Warpath interaction with Cho.
Oh yeah, you get multiple copies of it.
And one, this is filling his hand up, which you could say, oh, you know, bad for Mountain Giant. Most importantly, though, Tyler wants this Cho to live, because Tyler's either only going to get his Warpaths back, or he gets the Mage spells, which are sick.
Whenever Cho pops up in games, you're like, all right, let me put my thinking cap on. Like, this is going to...
Who is this beneficial for? And I feel like a lot of players play around it too much. They will like avoid doing too many spells because they don't want to give their opponent the value. But the problem is, if Cho stops, imagine if Cho's ability was your opponent doesn't cast spells. All right, this card's the best card in the game,
right?
Because they just don't do anything. We just have it back. But now, like, he's gonna warp. There you go. There's the respect, right? He knows he's on the losing end of Cho right now by far. But look at the mana. 4 mana out of his turn 9. He's
killing off his own
minions.
The thing is, there's not a whole lot else going on for Dawn. He does have an Arcane Intellect, which he probably would have liked to use. He can't right now because his hand's a little full.
It's like
but
Echo.
You might play the image. That's not the images. The Arcane Missiles just to be able to AI Arcane Intellect.
Yeah, he's just gonna do it.
He wants to spend the mana. It sucks
I was wondering whether, sorry to cut you off, whether he's just playing Harrison, because remember, this is the initial deck, and this does not run the Super Colliders.
Right.
So if your opponent swings the bomb weapon at you, then okay. But at the moment, because of that turn, yeah, he drew cards, but he has a 2-1 on the board, and that's it.
I mean, you also see that Tyler's going to Zap Cannon turn, so playing and you just give him Warpath. So it's possible that he's thinking, I just want to give him a free Zap Cannon. I mean, not to say that, you know, Tyler's going to hit a bad hero power. All the hero powers are beneficial in some way, but maybe he's thinking, maybe it's not quite the turn to play it out. There's a Sandbinder in hand. I believe there's 10 cards, so he'd have to play something else as well from Dawn's side. Kind of a rough scenario. Is he running, he's not even running Astromancers in his main list. It's technically
why would he have to play something else?
2, 4. If he plays the Sandbinder, he draws a card and stays at... Oh, he can just, you can just play the Giant. Right.
There you go. Yeah, he pinged the Boombot, and he can even Ray of Frost the Blastmaster Boom. So this was about as good a turn as it gets. My only worry now for Dawn is, does he have to wait for the second Conjurer's Call? Oh, never mind. Nope,
no, he's just going to find one. It's fine.
So now he doesn't play the Giant.
Right.
This was my query, right? If you play the Giant and it dies, Dawn actually pretty much just doesn't have threats left.
I think he wasn't playing the Giant this turn, because by playing the Magic Trick means if you were to play the Giant, you don't have mana to Ray of Frost, so he's saying, I need to wait.
Oh, before he Magic Tricked was when we played the Giant Ray of Frost on the 7/7.
I think you might be at a point where you need to wait for that, because
that's what I mean. There's not much left in the deck for you to kill your opponent with if the Giant gets cleaned up. And also with turn 10, 1 Omega Devastator, which we can see Tyler does have, well, the Giant just dies. And
also,
that's
just
probably game.
Discovery Drone, Omega Assembly. There's a lot of stuff to navigate around for Dawn. It might be past the point where he can.
Whenever you discover Omega Devastator, Discovery win condition is so nuts.
It's gonna there's some crazy stuff that's gonna have to happen for Don to win this game.
Don's got no choice though, right?
I mean, you gotta do something, right? Like
The longer he waits, the more mechs he gives Tyler.
Right.
I think he just has to go in and be like, well, this either wins me the game or it doesn't.
I think he's gonna play both.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I think you have to. I think you have to go in. This is clearable, and this is slightly less clearable.
Which is crazy because it's just gonna get cleaned up. With 2 Omega Devastators in hand, that's pretty
now,
rough.
Although that Conjurers was generated, it was not called. There's still one in the deck.
So there's still one in the deck.
So it's not all over yet, but Dawn's running out of things to Conjurers, and this is the issue with this sort of anti-aggro build of your top end, or Dawn's top end, is 2 Sea Giant, 2 Mana Giant. That's it.
Yeah.
There's no Antonidas. There's nothing else that's late game. So it means that if these Giants don't get him there, there's nothing left to get him there. And now there's just a double trade from the Devastators. Or he could just pass. I don't think it matters.
Yeah. Funnily enough, one of the benefits for Dawn, at least, is that there's not like a shield slam left that can be used from Tyler's side. So at least the Omega Devastators get traded off. But
it's a small.
Yeah.
It's the thinnest of silver linings to any Cloud I've ever seen.
Really, Cloud.
It's like.
Yeah, he's digging real hard to find that silver lining. Sea Giant picked up, so there is something left over, but you're at 15. There's not that many bombs in the deck, but I feel like the longer we get, like if we get to the end of our decks, I think Tyler's just gonna win.
Oh yeah, 100%. There's still no Brawl been played. There's still 2 weapons which equate to, what, 12 damage?
Yeah.
Like, yes, there's Harrison, but at this point, if the weapon's equipped to the sword, Harrison gets Dawn closer to the bombs, which is like, there's 10 cards in the deck, like, that's not a lot. And he's not even played most of his bomb cards yet.
Okay, I figured it out.
Okay.
Blast Wave into Astral Rift into Elysiana.
Don't even joke.
We'll make our own Warrior Mirrors, okay?
No,
we can't let Americans have all the fun.
No, we will not. I will refuse.
Okay.
I have walked away from my casting desk before in a show. I will do it again.
Well, as long as we got the mic on, it's fine.
No, I took my headset off and left. All TJ's fault.
Oh boy. I mean, well, not much left to do from Tyler's side. He's like,
damage with the
all right.
zap as well. And honestly,
pop you in the head.
One of the most one-sided games I have seen of Warrior versus Mage.
We haven't even seen the Cairn or the Grom or the the Alex might not do that much at this point because Dawn's a little.
Bear in mind, though, I think the most important thing is this is not Tyler's anti-mage list.
Yeah.
He has an anti-mage list.
To be fair, Dawn's list is very not anti-warrior, but yeah, even his anti-warrior list doesn't seem like it's going to be that insane, especially with Tyler switching to, the powerful other cards.
And switching out all the cool stuff like Grom and Cairn.
Yeah, that's okay.
Blast Wave not going to generate many cards because it is an overkill requirement, not just a kill.
There's the Conch calling left in the deck for Dawn.
I believe Tyler also has the militia commander, right? Yeah, number 2.
Yep.
So he can just kill off this Harrison with no problem. No matter which way he does it.
Yep. This hits Dawn to 5 health, which means any bomb is going to do it. There's 2 bombs in the deck.
Wow.
Okay. I'm going to assume there was a...
Yep, okay. Oh, the bomb was drawn.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll have to get these... We'll have to get an official request to get these graphics of the victory screen just come in just a little bit later. I do want to see that portrait blow up. I'm sure a lot of people in chat do too. But yeah, the bomb did go off there, which was drawn, so it was just instant death anyway for Dawn. And I said it a few minutes ago, but I'll say it again. I don't think I've ever seen as one-sided a game as I just saw for that matchup of Warrior versus Mage there. So Dawn's got it all to do to fight back versus Tyler, as I imagine we're both going to be switching. But while we wait to see if the players do make that choice, we're just going to go through a quick break and we'll be right back.
So you're probably wondering why I gathered you here. Let me take a moment and break it down. We've been given black eyes by the good guys. Oh, but that's about to change. Those meddlesome mortals who've mocked up our missions will finally feel some of our pain. You see, I have a devious plan that requires a demonstrative fist, and each of you will have your dreams come true as a fiendish finger of peace. What? All right, let me try this again. Alone, all our dreams went. Kaboom! Yes, but united we'll take all the candles. No feasting it.
I'm seeing what you want to do.
Let me hear it.
We'll come together so we can dismantle.
Now here's the plot to capture your greed and intrigue. We'll take Dalaran for all that it's got. As we form an evil league.
Now the cards show me a tinker, so clever, but kind of a stinker. In a storm that's a raging, sits the last one I'm paging, a truly unusual thinker. All bots are now gonna go boom, but still, you shouldn't assume that I've made this selection on my own direction.
No, indeed, let's be clear. I have brought you all here, and now you're all in. It is time to begin.
We're back. We have Dawn versus Tyler going to continue now, and Tyler currently 1-0 up in a very convincing game number one of Warrior versus Mage. And Dawn's Mage has the questions to be asked, and you see that, like, basically the opening deck just has to do well enough, and I feel like against Warrior maybe Dawn wasn't expecting this, and because his deck only has the 4 giants as threats plus conjurers, of course, but that's it. And if those threats are dealt with, then there's nothing else. There's no Antonidas, there's no Astromancers, there's no late game to be able to keep pushing. So a little bit difficult for Dawn, but both players have moved on to their secondary deck, so I do believe we can check those out. So, you know, what's Dawn got here, and what are his chances, do you think, in terms of increase?
Well, so Dawn's removed a Banana Buffoon, a Frost Nova, Stargazer Luna, and the 2 Vex Crows. So a few cards that aren't that great against Warrior have been cut out. We've added 2 Astromancers, 2 Mechanical Whelps, and an Acidic Swamp Ooze. The Ooze should help out a little bit, along with the Harrison already in the list. The Whelps are kind of interesting. We haven't seen Whelps too much as a tech for Mage against Warrior, but it is something you could Conch Calling just to get a 7/7 out of, and then 2 6-drops, and it's also some good Brawl hedge. Although it can still be played around a little bit if the turns go late enough, you could go like Warpath, then Brawl, but then it's still kind of difficult to clear the board. So I kind of like these techs coming in from Dawn. I'm not sure if it's quite enough. It is 4 extra threats, but I mean, we'll have to see if it's enough, because
yeah, it's tough, right?
Yeah.
I do like the Whelps, because the general rule to make a really good Conjurer's Calling minion is high value but understated, which is exactly what the initial version, like the first minion you play, the Dragonling on the board, or the Whelp, sorry, is because it's a 6-mana 2/2, which is terrible stat wise, but it has the Death Rattle. So once you Conjurer's Call that, as you quite rightly said, it's a 7/7 and then 2 6-drops, which is pretty. I think 6 drops are in a decent spot right now in the game and what's in rotation. Let's check out Tyler's this that he has switched to. Unfortunately, I hate to break it to you, he took out all the fun stuff. So basically the Grom, the Cairn, one of the Alex and Alexstrasza. Elysiana can be taken out, that's not fun. But the other cards are gone, so maybe a little bit more of an affordable deck for players to make. But most importantly, second Brawl, 2 BGH, 2 Super Colliders. So Dawn runs 2 weapon removal. Now Tyler's running 4 weapons, which is a pretty big deal. And as we said, there still aren't tons of threats. The Astromancer Mechanical Whelps, the problem with Astromancer is it's so dependent on your hand being full. And I feel like this week already, we've seen time and time again where Mage isn't keeping a hold of a big hand because they can't. They have to play stuff to be able to keep competitive on board. And so, you know, we'll see how good Astromancer sticks as some of the choices. To be honest, for me personally, Astromancer versus Power of Creation, I would prefer Power of Creation as a direct swap if I was building the deck. But I'm not as good as Dawn, so I'm probably just wrong. But it's just personal preference of like a little bit more difficult to deal with for a warrior,
right?
And not as
it's not conditional.
Yeah, exactly.
You can just play a card and
not as varied as well. Actually, very few 6-drops available, and because you get to choose as well, it's not just generated one. You actually have a one. It's pretty difficult. My point is to not get one decent 6-drop out of 3 to choose. So.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's go into it. This could be another sweep if Tyler keeps at it. He does have the Super Collider, but it's going to be very valuable. And that Brawl, you know, don't know if it's the added Brawl or the original Brawl, we'll never know. But it is one of the 2 that are now available in the deck.
Dawn doesn't have a whole lot going on, so he's saying, all right, let me Magic Trick on 1, maybe find an Arcane Intellect, something else to go with. And if not, maybe we just hit another Conch Calling. I'm a little skeptical of what Dawn cut for these added tech cards. We've been talking about Mage sometimes struggling to have hand size, and removing cards like Stargazer Luna and one of the Banana Buffoons kind of reduces the consistency of having that hand size. Now, originally the deck did only run 1 Banana Buffoon, 1 Sandbinder, and some lists actually didn't have Luna at all. But I think if you have them, you might as well just, if you have the option to put them in, I think you really should, because it helps you A, get to those threats that you need, and B, it just helps you maintain the hand size, because it can be a struggle.
I think I'm generally more leaning towards a Luna Keep than a Banana Buffoon. Because one of the problems about Banana Buffoon is the actual spells that you get are actually quite difficult to land because you don't often have minions when you're against warriors specifically. But I do agree. I think like removing hand size generation and card draw for more value can be tough because you might not get to that value if you don't draw the cards.
So the Banana Buffoons tend to be a bit better with people taking in Antonidas, because then you have the extra bananas as 0 mana spells with the Apprentice. So I mean, this could be just a different way to take it. So we'll see if the Mechanical Whelps do pay off for Dawn. I definitely haven't seen this too much. I've seen it hanging around a little bit in Open Cup lists, but I haven't played against it that much.
Yeah, I've definitely seen it discussed, because like I said, when everyone sort of clicked the Conjurer's Calling was as good as it is, you go to, right, what can we conjure as? You know, what's good? What's the best cards to conjure as? And then that's how, you know, very quickly players got to Rabble Bouncer, right? High cost, but, you know, potentially low to play and high value.
Tyler, recognizing that he does need just stuff on the board. He could take the super late game, but just having stuff on board's good. Do a bit of pressure, don't give Mage that much time. And even if the Mage does end up having threats, and like they just leave the Omega Devastator up, just hit him in the head.
Yep. And I really like, even if it wasn't, I mean, there's a clear kill anyway, but I actually just like Wrench Caliber here from Tyler, because I feel like the Super Collides are so powerful in this matchup. Play Wrench Caliber, you could even hold one of the swings for a long time, and just, use your weapon removal. If you use it on that, then that's +1 Super Collider for me later on, which is absolutely absurd.
I definitely like the Wrench Caliber equip here.
I think swing it once and hold, maybe for a little bit, see what happens.
I think it's fine. He could go face with the Devastator, but he's thinking maybe I don't give him like a free Conch Calling. Like, sure, he has other better stuff to Conjurer's Calling, but I mean, why give him anything, right? Just also, there's still Devastator left on the board. It's a clean trade.
And the thing is as well, how does Dawn deal 3 to this Devastator? You know, in almost every circumstance.
Also could mess up with Super Collider, right? If he's expecting a Giant Coin Conjurer's Calling, he wants to make sure there's no like chance that the Super Collider fails. So there is a clean kill with Super Collider. You have to trade off your Devastator, and you have to override Orange Caliber charge. But I think that's just the way to go.
I
mean,
think it's the way to.
you're not. There's no world you brawl this. I think you have so many good tools that you can take this a bit later. Like, you know, you're not going to die to like Antonata stuff later as well. And I think you can play around Mechanical Whelp enough.
Yeah. The selling point for me is the second Super Collider. So even if this gets answered and then there's follow-up, you're like, well, okay. Probably can't answer the second
He's
Super
making a
Collider.
face. Like, it does seem kind of like, I'm wasting a Orange Caliber charge. I'm using a charge of the Super Collider and trading off a Devastator. But I think you just have to do it. Don
This is
does
the
have the
real
Harrison.
issue.
Yeah,
There's no follow-up for Tyler, that's the real issue, right?
true.
Does
Don't
he,
have much
does
else
he
to
like
do.
have to play Dr. Boom here?
I don't want to say you have to, but you probably just do. I don't think you want to give the mage that much leeway. And there is a bomb left. Like, there's a bomb in Don's deck, so it's like,
Yeah, it's
okay.
it's Dr. Boom.
It's Dr. Boom,
yeah, old school.
Cute play you could do here is Warpath and then Dynomatic. Right? 7 mana. Clears up the board.
You know what? I'm down with that play.
I'm not in love with it. I feel like
I mean,
because of specifically the mechanical whelps, I think you do want to be able to go Warpath Brawl later on.
I feel like though the Super Collider often trades off the whelp for you, right? Because if you're not brawling a board that only has a mechanical whelp on it, and then if you're not brawling it means there's other minions, well there's a 2 health minion that you can make 1 health if you choose to swing into the whelp, then that means that it almost certainly always dies, right?
I wonder.
Okay, so Dawn is choosing to go wide here, mirror image.
Get the Sea
Gonna be
Giant down
played,
now.
yeah, chuck it down while you can. I mean, honestly, if you want a general rule of thumb in control matchups, if you can throw a Sea Giant down for cheap, just do it. Because your other minions you can make work later on. But just get it done now. And
Right.
Tyler now is a pretty juicy brawl.
I like this a lot. All right, Tyler, show me the first brawl. Hakar popping up is kind of interesting too. Obviously, Dawn's going to be the one with bombs in the deck, but if both players have Corrupted Bloods in their deck and the game does start going longer, technically the player with more health is more likely to just survive longer.
Right.
So if they're going back and forth and Dawn's not taking damage and Tyler's not taking damage, the Hakar does mean that, you know, it puts Tyler on the clock technically. Now that's not the case if Tyler is, you know, the aggressor and he had some more stuff on board, but
Also,
it-
but Tyler can regen health with armor
True.
up and
Yeah.
potentially Dr. Boom as well, and shield blocks. So that does make a big difference because, again, mages kind of joined the rogue in more places than not in terms of just damage permanence, right?
Yep.
To heal, they discover ice barriers sometimes.
Or just the
they
one
have
Ziliax,
Ziliacs,
yeah.
but
But that's
everyone's
about
got
it.
Ziliacs, so who cares? But you know that's like one of the awkward things is a lot of the time the damage you take as mage is the damage you've taken for that game, and that's just it. There's not much recovery.
So this is one of the things I was curious about the mechanical whelps. You just play it and it's a 2-2 on that turn, so if you're not already ahead, it's kind of like,
Meh.
yeah,
I'll make that
literally,
noise for you.
alarm went by.
But
Yeah,
but the good thing here is like
it does set up, yeah, I mean, you need some setup with this deck, right? It's not cards that do stuff just by itself, necessarily, but it does feel a little lackluster right off the bat. Oh, another important thing is that it doesn't, I didn't even consider this, Dynomatic doesn't hit it, right?
no.
And it doesn't hit the 7/7 left under it as well, so that's kind of cute.
The biggest problem for me is the Conjurer's Call procs the Death Rattle.
Oh, can you
So
imagine if it
against
didn't? Yeah.
so against Warrior, you destroy the thing that makes you good versus Warrior.
True.
You know, and with double brawl, shield slams, and like some AoE removal as well. It's like obviously it would be overpowered if it didn't. You know what I mean? But
Yeah,
I'm just
yeah,
saying
yeah.
like you've got to consider like other minions don't have death rattles, so probably have other benefits.
It's something you have to dance around. I mean,
Because how does he create a board? To create a threat, he has to Conjurer's Call it.
I
And if
think
he
from
does,
this
then-
perspective, it's fine because he still has like a whelp left over,
Yeah.
and he's thinking, all right, well, he's had a brawl. Warpath by itself does not clear this, like
Right,
under any
right.
circumstance. So, okay, not under any circumstance. There are circumstances where Warpath might clear, but it's probably just big enough. And if the second brawl's gone, that's fine.
Is he gonna go deep with a? Is he gonna buff this?
Oh,
Trade?
I like this a little bit, yeah. You go for the mana cycle on this turn, it lets you kill off the Dynomatic as well. There's not really anything you can Devastator here, right? Like, sure, it can be
There's a lot of
Devastator, but
spells.
This is I like this a lot from Don. He could have considered going Ray of Frost beforehand on the opponent's minion just for some extra spells. He might go in on the conch here.
I have a suggestion.
Yeah.
I think. Oh,
Oh, boy.
he is going deep. Okay.
2 Northrend. All right, I like holding the second conch calling because at that point I think you're throwing way too much at the board. But I think this is a commitment for sure. Oh, whoa, what was that?
We gonna.
We'll see it in the side. Oh no, we won't.
Nope. You gotta call for these things.
I didn't quite see it.
We'll get the secret check in a
If that's a
second. from the
counter spell,
observer.
that is pretty big.
The biggest thing. So my question was the board enough of a threat to play the Cyclone before the Conjurers? It's one less spell, but you could keep the Death Rattle on the board, and then Tyler has to deal with it.
I think I do like the conch calling there.
Okay.
You've already seen a brawl. You don't want to hold back too much. I've heard this from a lot of players. I have played a bunch of mage myself, but as soon as you start holding stuff back, you give too much time. Like, sure, if you throw everything down the board, they have a brawl. You throw everything down the board, they have a brawl. You throw something else, they have a Devastator. It's like, okay, he had double brawl, double Devastator, etc. But, like, most of the time, they're not going to have double brawl, double Devastator, double everything.
Yeah.
So at some point, you just say, like, all right, I've seen a brawl. Statistically, he doesn't have the other brawl. I'm going to go.
And plenty of people will disagree with me, but there is merit in making plays where sometimes you just win.
Yeah.
Because if there's no clear here, Dawn just kills it. Like, it's game over. Job done.
Oh my god, so this is actually, you can't see it from the side there, but it's fine. This is actually even cool because you have a, what's the word? It's part of mind games as well, because Dawn Snap jamming the secret also means, like, even if it's not counterspell, Tyler's like, he played that awfully quick.
Right.
Which we just saw Tyler obviously use a shield slam just to say, all right, if this is counterspell, I can't afford my brawl to get counterspelled. So he just threw away, well, not threw away, he tested for counterspell the shield slam. And that's actually quite a big deal because it means, like, sure, you get the brawl out now, but that's one less removal spell. I have 4 cards left in hand now from Tyler's perspective, and it's like,
What to do?
Yeah. That's actually, it's so difficult, right?
Yeah.
It's so difficult because even if you think someone's bluffing, you can't take the chance, so the bluff always wins.
Yeah.
Even if it's not bluff, because Dawn's not playing it purely to bluff. It's a
Sure,
secret that
like
was playable, so play it, right? But I just mean, even if it was just a bluff, Tyler cannot pretend it's not. Wow. Okay. And this is nice. This is problems with playing around Super Collider a little bit as well. It means that if he hits into this Reform, then it just hits a whelp. And
Yeah,
does
and then it spawns
nothing.
stuff.
Yeah,
PGH a good pickup.
it is. Yeah.
Then I guess what you can, like, Ziliax, Orange Caliber to kill off the Varisa.
I think you might do a different way, actually. There's no Conjures, right?
Right.
Do you ever think you can just double 5-drop and play aggressive? Just not attack with the Ziliax and go face? I'm wondering how scared Tyler is what I'm judging. His 2 brawls are gone. He does, like, Super Collider is a very powerful card, but also, as you can see, it can be made a little bit less
Do you
efficient.
mean, by 5 drops, do you mean Big Game Hunter and Harrison? Or did you mean the Ziliax?
I just play Ziliax.
And no attacks?
I think so. The attack does nothing really, right?
I've got the beast in my sight.
Because, wait, just hang on. Let me just check Tyler's list for a second.
Yeah, sure, go for it. So
Yeah, because Tyler still has a weapons project, right? So I'm thinking that he might want to save Harrison for that.
true. I mean, he does need some card generation, right? He's running kind of thin at this point.
So I'm just thinking just play Ziliax, like...
I think if you're playing the Ziliax, you have to at least trade then, because otherwise it gets pinged off, the whelp punches in, and then you take too much face damage. I either like playing Ziliax and killing off the Varisa, or I like playing the Harrison here, and he's taking this line. I mean, I don't think this game looks like it's going to be going that much longer, and if it does, Tyler's going to be in a good spot. But I think Tyler's saying, I can't wait and just hope I draw, like, the greatest cards over the next 3-4 turns.
Right.
Let me throw some bombs in, try to get some chip damage in, and I might get there with bombs. Tyler also knows there's, what, 4 or 5 random spells in Dawn's hand, so there's... The context of Dawn's hand isn't that powerful. Like, an average mage spell is pretty good, but they are relatively conditional, right? So, no, conditional, what's the word?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's fine. I'll figure it out.
We'll get there. Most importantly, Dawn just has stuff to do this turn, and this is kind of the opposite of some of the issues we've been seeing from the mages in the earlier today.
Yeah.
In there's powerful turns. You know, he still has the board. This Whelp's done a good job of not being a damage threat right now, but being an annoying threat that can't, you know, if it's there, then it means you've always got a backup.
I actually like this Astral Rift. I mean, the Arcane Intellect is just
Okay,
nice
okay.
because you draw more cards, but it's just
Have more
generates more
stuff.
stuff.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it's just guaranteed stuff. It might, you know, it might be two drops, but
It might not.
it might not.
It might be 2 1-drops.
Situational, that's the word.
Ah,
Not conditional.
okay,
Some of the
sure.
mage spells are situational.
Yeah.
All right, that's a pretty good draw. The Clockwork Goblin by itself doesn't do a lot, but it means you can Ziliax Magnetize it, clean up the Varisa, leave a big lifesteal thing on the board. It heals you, and it's.
I like it.
I like it. It was a very good draw.
Yeah, bear in mind, these 2 minions obviously are not dead for Tyler. They're just frozen, which means they still exist. They still need to be dealt with in some respect by Dawn. We can see that there is ways to deal with them,
Yeah.
but still, you know, Tyler has to work with what he's got here.
So what Dawn did that turn also set up lethal with the Frostbolt randomly generated from the Cyclone. Important to note. But the Ziliax with the Clockwork Goblin is going to put a wrench in that plan.
Tyler's just unhappy.
I mean, the thing. So this is how it plays out, right? From the warrior, you're either like super ahead, which we've seen a couple of games of today. You're either super behind, where you're just dead, or it's kind of this thing where you're like lagging behind. You're like, I'm clearing some stuff. I'm clearing some stuff. But I mean, Tyler's at 20 health. Before this turn, he was even lower, right? He didn't have the armor. He was at 12, right? He's dealing with stuff, but on board, Dawn can clear almost all of this, and he's still got gas, right? So that's why Tyler's kind of like I'm clearing the board, but it doesn't feel great, you know.
Yeah. The Militia Commander, not a bad pick whatsoever. It's like direct removal that Mage doesn't really have right now.
It is really nice. He's considering whether or not he wants to develop something else this turn instead over it. The commander cleanly kills the Clockwork Goblin. I like this a lot. This stops any more healing coming out from the Goblin. It lets you pop off the Mechanical Whelp, clear up the board, push some face damage. You've seen 2 brawls, the Warpath, the second Warpath. Is this the second Warpath or first Warpath? Anyways, Warpath wouldn't clear this either way.
Oh. Okay. So you can Acolyte Warpath Super Collider.
True.
Clear the board.
You going down to 8? Doesn't feel great, but you need to do something,
Yeah,
and you
whatever.
do need draw off of this
And
Acolyte.
also, you get 1 draw off the Acolyte, and the Acolyte lives, and you've just seen Frostbolt and
Yep.
some other removal, so it means that you probably, at minimum, gain 1 draw, maybe you can eke out a second one.
Definitely a scary situation, but...
And also, Tyler's
that is
not got much
plenty.
choice.
Yeah.
I don't think the armor up's worth the no Acolyte.
You can start off with this first, see what the draw is, but I'd be surprised if Super Collider didn't come out here.
Okay.
Yeah,
Second
that
Acolyte, okay. You can't skip,
I
right?
know,
You're just
I know,
dead, yeah.
but it looks nice.
I mean, yeah. It's going to be good next turn, though. Ooh, okay.
This is kind of interesting. We're getting to the point where it's kind of close, like we see rogue mirrors used to be before the nerf. Obviously, oh, I like this.
Yeah, this is just the single most powerful turn Dawn can do.
And you just saw the Warpath come out too.
Yeah. Oh wow. Ooh.
Okay, that's
This is the single most powerful turn Tyler can do.
so you can bump the Acolyte first to see what the draw is, or just Omega Assembly. I don't think there's that much left in the deck that helps you deal with this, so I would like just to see the Omega Assembly come out.
I think the bump's fine. There's 2 taunt minions. If you're gonna, rush into anything,
Okay.
then you can
Okay.
rush into anywhere.
You did need that Warpath. Actually, never mind. I thought he had used to Warpath, but if there was a second Warpath in the deck, this is better in exactly that situation because it means you can clear the board here. You take another 2, you got another 6, but I mean, a board clear is a board clear.
And the lower... I'm gonna say a phrase that's so obvious and very stupid.
Okay, I'm ready.
But please try and do... You need to go to Solve for training for this to understand what I mean.
All right.
Even though it sounds silly. So because Dawn is expending cards, like last turn, right? He spent a few cards and his hand size is getting small. The smaller his hand size means there's just so much less chance of threat coming out from him.
Yep.
Which sounds obvious. If people got no cards, they can't do anything. But in this deck specifically, I feel like you always need a large hand size to do anything important. So just for this specific deck, it's even more true, is what I'm trying to get at.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So it means that yes, he's on 6, but there are a very small way, small amount of ways in which he actually dies.
We see Don a little frustrated there, like clear after clear's coming out from Tyler, but he is continuing to push a little bit.
But this is what I mean. plays are getting weaker and weaker and weaker because
True.
now, yes, he can make this Mountain Giant a bit cheaper and play, say, Militia Commander on the 2-drop and ping, but, well, as we can see, it takes one Devastator to just deal with this Mountain Giant.
He's pinging instead of doing other stuff.
Wait, he could have just used the evocation and got a
The
2
Bloods! I
2-drop.
forgot about the Bloods!
Oh, yeah!
That makes so much more sense. Yeah, so Don has been paying attention to the game. Don knows there's blood left. He doesn't necessarily want to draw because there's blood, so even though it gets you closer to threats.
I just thought he was going to evocation and play the Vendor and pink. Because
I think
I
you
don't
can
know
hold
what
on
you
to
saved it for.
Is there still I think there's still a Cyclone left over, no?
Maybe, but you've got the mana for it not to matter a lot of the time, right?
I think the Soup Vendor doesn't push that much most of the
Your
time.
opponent's on 2! He
Right,
pushes
but-
1, and ping pushes another 1.
Okay, fair. Well, your opponent was at 5, technically.
Right, but I just mean it negates the armor up, right?
That's true.
Oh, this game is close.
So there's 2 Bloods in Tyler's deck. There's a
Well,
1 in
there's-
6 chance he just dies next turn if Dawn chooses to ping and set him down to 3, which I believe he will.
I forgot.
Is there any way he clears this? The Militia Commander can deal with either half of this safeguard, the front half or the back half, but
You probably want the front half, right? Because the giant can be... there's mystery mechs. So it means like a Dynomatic, for example, would be frustrating to just kill off the giant. I
Right.
think I'd rather just have 1/8/8. Also, though, bear in mind that then on the flip side, Omega Devastator kills off the giant, whether it's on full health or not. So it is definitely not an easy one. And on such low health, is just a 2/5 just absolutely fine? Probably.
I think we're gonna see Dawn just
I
play.
love that we're seeing Dawn not drawing cards.
Yeah, I
It's so
think that's
sick.
correct though. Like he knows Tyler's just struggling. Just put stuff on the board now. Even like just the minions themselves. You don't need to do anything else. You ping. You set them like how. Both brawls are gone. Both warpaths are gone. Just Boom's on active. Even with a Devastator, it's just on. Yes, I think that's a blood coming out.
Now the game would have definitely
No,
ended already
okay.
if the blood came out.
We would have seen the screen.
Yeah. The AI of the screen knows much better than we do. The problem is just I am not saying anything new right now, but the difference between having Boom live and not is unmeasurable at this point. If Tyler had Boom live, he could do so much more. Look at the 2. He's got 2 minions that would heal him
Yeah.
if he had Boom live.
And it would let you actually get favorable like trades that
Yeah, you could do
matter.
stuff,
Otherwise,
yeah.
you know, Dawn can dictate how they go.
It's so crazy. And with Galvanizer, he could play like almost his whole hand with a choice between, you know, obviously the 3 big ones. You'd have to cut down a little bit. But he can play a lot of stuff this turn, except none of it has Rush because there's no
Yeah.
Boom.
Ziliax is gone, so Town Crier won't really find any life gain. Rusty Recycler is pretty much the way to go. And on board, if the Mountain Giant tanks, it has to punch through the Recycler. So there's a Militia Commander left over, so maybe this
Wait,
plus. So he's gonna, I think he's going to, yeah.
I don't know what I think about this though, because this is just drawing him deeper into his deck, which is a problem, right?
True, but he needs to do something, right? He needs some way to, this at least fights a little bit for the
Oh.
board. There's a Maw. There's a Blood.
Then the game would have ended.
Yeah, no, there's 2 Bloods left, so
Oh
I think we're going to see Dawn do just about anything but draw cards this turn.
Like an intellect go.
Well, Wolf Rider ends the game. Raid Leader does as well.
Wait, does it?
No, it doesn't.
No, because he
I
heals
lied.
for 2 and you can only ping for 1.
No. It heals for 2, goes up to 4. The Raid Leader means that the Militia Commander punches for 3, and then you can get a ping off.
sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm being really dumb. Okay, that was none. There's
So-
nothing really
Right,
done.
so Dawn just needs to consider, all right, I need to make sure my opponent's at 3 health so he can actually die to a blood. If I trade in here and he's at 4 and he draws a blood and he doesn't die, that's bad for me. But he also needs to consider, like, if he doesn't draw blood, I need to make sure I don't die just on board. So he's like, I don't think he's ever going to draw here. I think he
Look
has
at
to.
Dawn.
Yeah.
Dawn's just with me on
So
this.
he-
I'm just like, what did
he has to
even
ping
do?
face and he has to kill off one of these minions to make sure he doesn't down the backswing. So there's 20% chance. Is there going to be blood?
Let's find out.
That's
No.
not a blood.
But that's not anything else either.
I know. Dawn has 2 bloods in the deck as well. 2 in a 9 chance. So Tyler needs to figure out, is there some way I can clear here? And the answer is going to be no. So it's going to be, all right, draw the card.
He can't even say Acolyte Dynomatic, right?
He could.
Well,
no, he could, but...
He can, but he shouldn't.
Well, there's nothing you can even draw for 2 mana left over, right?
Exactly, that's what
there's
I mean.
Nothing,
he can't,
okay, yeah,
he
I see
can't
what you mean.
gain from doing that play, because there's nothing that's going to make an impact. I think he just has to just...
Drop the Megaton.
He may as well just, drop Meg, whatever, and just pass. Just see what happens. There's nothing else he can do, right? Oh, Tyler's just reasonably. So we're laughing and saying just do this.
Maybe
but
there is
Tyler, you go deep when you're in a weird game like this, so you have to think about every outcome, anything he can get that helps in any way. But I think all the cards he has are fairly straightforward.
Yeah, he knows.
Without
He's like,
Dr.
all
Boom,
right.
yeah, without Dr. Boom, he can't do anything, right?
This is
he can't make some crazy trades. He's going to drop the Mechathun and just be like,
Don knows.
This is literally
it.
Russian roulette right now. There's a couple in the chamber, and they're just passing it to each other and pressing the trigger.
We're going to game 3. That's it. Lethal on board.
Wow.
Don takes the win. The Hukar Bloods actually helped a little bit. I mean, it meant Tyler had to make some very specific plays that played around just like, I don't know. We're getting some pretty cool games today.
That it's so difficult. Dawn's just loving it. And yes,
he's like,
I'm with you. I was stressed for you, Dawn. I was stressed for you. But the biggest thing for me is that these situations, I feel like, people might be like, random stuff or whatever. But for me, these situations actually do quite often test the players more than they just randomly win games. Because you have to change playstyle midway through. You have to account for all these outside factors that are brought into the game. And both players were doing it, right? Yeah. Just as much as Tyler can discover mechs, and you see all the discoverable spells and minions from Dawn as well. So it's definitely tested and trying for these players to try and navigate these very complicated games once they get to that point. But Dawn did take the win, and that's going to even it up. We're going to go to a quick break while we're set up for game number 3. Don't go anywhere. This is the Asia Pacific Grandmasters.
Now the cards show me a tinker, so clever, but kind of a stinker. In a storm that's a raging, sits the last one I'm paging, a truly unusual thinker. All bots are now gonna go boom, but still, you shouldn't assume that I've made this selection on my own direction.
No, indeed, let's be clear. I have brought you all here, and now you're all in. It is time to begin.
Each teammate I'm calling has stories. This tale's about riches and glories. Deep down in the earth, a king dreams of rebirth and refilling his gold inventories. Such a shame to have lost all that treasure. Join up, be a kobold of leisure. The cards now be calling. Someone new, no more stalling. And we next will be taking her measure.
Game number 1 of this series was pretty one-sided, with Tyler taking it with his warrior, and then that last game was just nuts with mainly, I would say, Hakar just having the last laugh overall.
Yeah.
But we are going into game number 3. It's going to be Tyler's warrior against Dawn's mage, of course, and this one, I don't know, I think the game got very difficult for Tyler there, but I'm still convinced that he's got the better end of the stick here. I'm a fan of the mage list, but I feel like a lot had to go wrong for Tyler for that to, and that was still even close, right?
Yeah.
It still wasn't exactly one-sided
Right.
for Dawn, so I feel like, you know, maybe second time around Tyler can get this done.
Yeah, we're seeing the power of being able to switch to one of these side decks, like especially when it's built so like extremely for this exact matchup, like the Super Colliders, the BGHs, they just help so much. Obviously, Dawn having some extra gas. We saw the potential of the mechanical whelps last game, obviously, working with Conjurer's Calling and just by itself.
Yeah, did a really good job, and now the anti-mage curve, 3-drop into 4-drop into big game.
And Tyler's on the coin, which means it'll be harder for Dawn to activate to get to the hand size where Giant will be playable, at least early on. But double Arcane Intellect, not a terrible start from Dawn, right?
I even wonder if there's a, like, you could skip a, well, not skip, but accelerate a little bit and actually just go Coin Acolyte first, and then just go, because I don't feel like you, apart from pushing extra damage, you don't need the 3-3 on 2, right?
Right.
But maybe the threat of card draw is pretty good.
I think you'd have to do the math on at what point could a Giant come down if he has, let's say, AI or a Banana Buffoon, right? And then if that turn would be 5, then yeah, sure. We can just BGH to answer that. But if it were to turn 4, then you might think, maybe I save the coin here on the off chance that... Yeah, but I think even with Arcane Intellect into Arcane Intellect, the Giant would just come down on 5, which means that BGH could come out on 5 to answer it. So I like Tyler coining this third out to be aggressive. Especially when you have, like you said, the second 3-drop and then Devastator, and then you could just...
So funny when it's the first card.
Yeah.
Because all I imagine is, and this obviously isn't even how it would work, but in like, if we were sat opposite playing this game, and then with real cards, it's like, put a bomb into your opponent's deck, I just lean over and place a bomb on top of it, and you're like, what? And I'm like, what? It's in your deck?
Yeah.
And then you're like...
You didn't specify.
Draw the card, bang.
Okay, this could turn...
Spicy.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So because Tyler has the option to play this instead of Devastator, and this still A, does damage, and B, shuffles bombs in, which is aggressive in itself, I think this is fine over playing the Devastator. Tyler has no LX in this list, so there's no reason to just save the Wrench Caliber, might as well throw it out now.
Also, most importantly, the Militia Commander is the... normally you want to front load a minion, because the minion doesn't have charge, but the weapon kind of does, but the Militia Commander has Rush, which is enough.
Ooh, okay. This is about the average outcome. This is really cool, because Tyler can just... Obviously, Super Collider would have cleared this board, but Tyler can just BGH, throw another 7 base, and be like, yeah, see ya.
Yeah, it's a funny one though, right? Because if you rewind, is it better to play the Devastator because you actually clear the board? If that turn happens?
Do you even want to clear the board?
I don't know, and that's my point.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying it's definitely correct, but it's just, it was a difference in the play, right? Push more damage or make a board that actually beats Giant Conjuring, which is the best thing your opponent can do.
Definitely something to think about. Dawn is faced with an incredibly important decision here. He has the option to Khadgar Conch Calling and just say, all right, I can win next turn right now if you don't have the brawl. Tyler's like, well, that's the thing. You're at 8 health. If you don't hit it, right? So this gives Tyler the out of Dawn just drawing. Oh my goodness, this is gonna be decided right now, right? So
Who says Warrior games are slow?
So let's say you Warpath 3 times. That doesn't let you kill a Giant with what's left on board. You can Militia Commander to take 1 Giant off the board, but then you're just taking 26, right?
Are there any draws that help Tyler. I do not believe
Exactly.
there are.
Oh, no, there's not. No,
There's
no. Wrench
not.
Caliber's not even lethal.
Yeah.
So Tyler basically has the option to stem the bleeding and say, all right, I can kill off one giant. Or just say, draw a bomb, I win the game. I think we're going to see him go for commander and kill one thing off. Okay, he's trading
Draw
first, seeing
first.
what's happened. Yeah, this makes a lot more sense, because the Acolyte pushing face doesn't matter too much.
Yes, yeah.
The Clockwork Goblin is what
exactly.
matters, because it sets you at 5 health, which means that you could just die to bomb
Which
being
is
dropped.
why I was saying, is there anything he can draw that changes his game plan dramatically?
Right.
Because he has one draw that he can always take for free.
I like that. So the other option from Dawn last turn would have been Ziliax to heal up a bit, but I like this play. It's like I'm in a rough spot. I need to just close this game out.
Right.
And I think he took a great risk there. So Tyler has to figure out, all right, what are we doing here? Oh boy.
Time. Okay, he's gonna get done.
Okay. No bomb. So Tyler would have died if he tried to go all in there and just say, all right.
Well, yes and no. He would have shuffled an additional bombing, right?
Okay, yeah, fair.
Well, Tyler's got one more turn regardless, so I guess the only thing this changes is it gives him
I like this a lot. This
Wrench
plays around.
Caliber into Goblin for 2 more bombs in the deck.
So I like Dawn playing the Whelp here instead of anything else, because it means it plays around exactly Tyler going 1-drop Brawl and then the 1-drop winning the Brawl. So this means that Brawl is no longer an out.
I mean, he has to
Well,
just shuffle
actually,
the bomb. Right?
Brawl would be an out if the mechanical Whelp lives, because then it's just 2 damage left over. But still,
25%. I mean, that's pretty good sometimes. Look at both players. Just like these past 2 games, especially, have just been so nutty. One was a lot slower than the other one,
Yeah.
but I think from my initial look here, that Tyler just has to play the Goblin and go.
I agree. That's the only line here. It's
But then it has to go back-to-back bombs.
you're dead otherwise. So that's the
Yeah,
only
I
thing,
just
yeah.
mean like from the previous play, you had to go at
You had only one
like,
bomb.
Yeah, 1 bomb to draw for lethal versus 2. And there's nothing else you can do, right?
It's kind of crazy. We've seen 3 games this set that have just played out completely differently. Like
Right.
all 3 of them were just here are the 3 ways this matchup can go. Obviously, it's not like set in stone. This is exactly what's going to happen. But we've seen quite a bit of variety in this set, and it's been pretty cool.
Tyler, HGG did throw the Ragnaros for a 1 in 8 chance to win. A game he talks about still to this day.
Oh,
Both players, there's one!
no! Oh my!
Oh,
Oh my God!
Oh,
Yes.
Okay. Wow. That,
Yeah,
for
we
just
see the
a
3.
second, I thought he was going to do it again. But Dawn takes the victory, and you're quite right. Those 3 games were 3 very, very different games of Hearthstone, even with the same classes and the same players. But Dawn takes the victory, and Cloud9 unbeaten across 3
Well, cross
players.
sets at least. Yeah.
Across series, across 3 different players as well for Grandmasters so far. So that is just mind-blowing in itself. But congratulations to Dawn. You know, if we were getting tense for that series, and I mean, we could see what the other 2
they were
players were
definitely
thinking.
on the edge of their seats.
Absolutely mental. But that is match number. Wow, today's just flying by. That's match number 4 gone. We've only got one more match coming up. So we've got Patra versus Blitzchung coming up after the break. Don't go anywhere. This is Grandmasters.
We recently revealed Hearthstone's all-new 3-tiered esports program. Masters qualifiers are already well underway, and now we're ready to share details on the highest level of competitive play, Hearthstone Grandmasters. Are you ready to unlock all the secrets of Hearthstone Grandmasters?
Come close and listen.
Here goes. Hearthstone Grandmasters is the pinnacle of Hearthstone esports, composed of 48 of the best pro players in the entire world. Grandmasters is divided into 3 regions: Americas, Europe, and Asia Pacific, with each represented by 16 pros. These pros are selected by special invitation from Blizzard Entertainment. Criteria for selection include lifetime earnings, Hearthstone competitive points earned, contributions to the Hearthstone community, and more. So who are the lucky Grandmasters? Stay tuned, because in the coming weeks we'll be revealing the inaugural Grandmaster roster region by region. In 2019, there will be 2 seasons of Hearthstone Grandmasters. Each season will feature 8 weeks of world-class competition played out in online tournaments. Grandmasters pros will earn both prize money and performance-based bonuses during the season, and they will automatically qualify to compete at all Hearthstone Masters Tour events, guaranteeing these marquee tournaments feature the fiercest competitors possible. And the best part? You won't miss a second of the action because matches will be broadcast live on twitch.tv/playhearthstone. 5 matches will be broadcast every Friday, with 5 more every Saturday. And if that isn't enough Hearthstone action, there will be 6 matches broadcast every Sunday.
More souls!
Mark your calendars because the first season begins on May 17th. Hearthstone Grandmasters is the pinnacle of professional Hearthstone, where the world's best pros battle it out every weekend online. Think you've got what it takes to reach the top? The path to Grandmasters starts with our Masters qualifier tournaments, so sign up today.
Each teammate I'm calling has stories. This tale's about riches and glories. Deep down in the earth, a king dreams of rebirth and refilling his gold inventories. Such a shame to have lost all that treasure. Join up, be a kobold of leisure. The cards now be calling. Someone new, no more stalling. And we next will be taking her measure.
We're back, and it's week 2 of Hearthstone Grandmasters here for the Asia Pacific region. We're on the first day of 3, and we're on match number 5, which means it's pretty much getting towards the end of the day for us. Another very quick Asia Pacific week. That's why it's obviously the best region to watch, is that you can consume more Hearthstone in a shorter period of time, which is what we all want, of course. But we have got Patra versus Blitzchung, which is going to be our last match of the day. Let's take a look at Patra's deck. She's going to be bringing Mage, so it's yet a different Mage matchup we've got. It's going to be Mage versus Mid-Range Hunter, or Beast Hunter, depending on what people do like to call it. But for a start, let's look at Patra's build, because Patra's build, very similar to the Warrior from last week. I feel like this is one of my more preferred styles of list for Grandmasters specifically.
Well, there's an interesting card inclusion here in Patra's Mage that some of you may not even know is in the game. 2 mana Mage spell Snap Freeze.
Language hacker, saying it like it is.
Well, I mean,
this is a card
honestly,
you
yeah,
probably don't know exists.
This is a card you get off of Mana Cycle and you're like, what is it? Let me read this. It acts as a freeze, and if a minion is already frozen, you kill a minion. So it's a really interesting card to include, and it's definitely a nod to obviously the expectation of a lot of Mage. If your opponent plays Mountain Giant, like we said, Mage does not have a lot of single target removal in this deck, apart from Ray of Frost, which isn't always removal. So the fact that you have a 2 mana combination with Ray of Frost Kill a Giant can be very swingy in sort of the mirrors. Against other decks, though, it's probably going to be a bit more difficult to use effectively, but it might still end up being useful against Mid-Range Hunter too.
I think there's sideways benefits as well, because look at Mech Hunter, it's an additional freeze to stop the one big threat pushing, and you know, just saying no, you don't get to attack with this is actually very powerful right now, because I feel Hearthstone at the moment is so minion combat based that just denying that for a relatively cheap cost is good, and sometimes you just kill a minion, which is pretty sick too. Let's check out Blitzchung's list, as I stumble over my own words. This is a list I've actually been trying out since I saw him submit it, as it is a Hunter list, of course. But I like this list more than Mech Hunter, and I'll be honest, I'm not sure if it's because I dislike Mech Hunter as a deck versus I like Mid-Range Hunter as a deck. But also, I was playing with it, and a lot of the time I feel like without certain tech cards, so many decks just aren't prepared to deal with just Hunter stuff. Mainly Dire Frenzy, which is a huge, huge problem. But also just having consistent just stuff to play every single turn, with the help of course, how powerful Master's Call is. 3 mana, you know, oh, Mage, you've got 3 mana draw 2 cards, I have 3 mana draw 3. And a lot of them are playable in similar turns too, so I feel like this deck, for me at least, is very powerful. It's a little bit powerful versus, for example, I'd say Warrior. It's a very straightforward matchup. A bit more difficult versus Mage, but overall I do like this for Blitzchung, and I think Blitzchung's a very, very consistent player, so I think this could be a dangerous week for his opponents.
Yeah, he's got some stuff against aggro. We see the Scale Hides in there too. shuffling in a bunch of scale hides with Dire Friends can help quite a bit against aggro. Obviously, you can tech into your side decks for even more anti-aggro tools, but I feel like this main list checks a lot of boxes. You've got like a nice curve you can just throw down against Mage, be aggressive early enough, and then just end up finishing them off. And yeah, I think you can fight for the board against a lot of the other decks too. So I think the Beast or Midrange Hunter is a good bring right now against Mage, or against what you expect other people to bring against Mage too.
Yeah, I also think the Stranglethorn Tiger is a card that's been close to being in and out of Midrange Hunter forever, since people started playing Midrange Hunter, and it's because it's so often just guaranteed minimum 5 damage. It's a beast that could almost guarantee activate even following turns kill command. And versus Mage, when you can get the early part of the game done by pushing a bit of damage and getting some threats there, then you drop Tiger on 5 outside of a Nova.
Yeah,
well,
you can't free something, you can't target
anything. So then you bank 5 more damage, 7 with hero power, and then anything else, you start adding up so much extra damage that you almost just snowball and then just suddenly finish the game versus Mage and don't give them an opportunity to deal with it. Also, a side note, there is one Unleash in the primary deck. There is another deck, the tertiary deck, which has a second copy, but I was just meaning for those wide boards that Mage sometimes gets, Unleash push more damage, go.
Definitely.
So I think we see the players get ready. Patrick's quick yawn there. I hope there's enough sleep, because you need to be on point when you're playing some of the hardest Hearthstone you've ever played in Grandmasters. Some of the best players in the world here, and this is gonna be huge, because I know as well, like Patrick went 0-2 last weekend. They were very close series, and there are many people who could argue that it was as close to a win without winning. But 0-2 start, you need to start getting those wins into your belt, or you're going to start trailing behind very quickly. And as we say, how long this league is, across 8 weeks effectively, those weeks start ticking by really quickly. And if you lose your first few matches, the pressure builds and builds and builds when you have less and less leeway to actually, once the weeks run out, basically.
Yeah, I mean, we saw the standings earlier today. Those are going to be updated for you every week that we can take a look at and see how they're kind of progressing. And starting off 0-2 is rough, but week 1 is probably the only week where you can be like, all right, I've lost like a lot of stuff, but it's fine. There's 7 weeks left. Yeah. You can just start taking wins now.
Matches,
14 matches to go, 2 every week. So there's still a lot of the games left to be played. So Patrick can still find herself in a good spot.
Okay, let's get straight into it, Patrick.
Keep Cyclone Buffoon in the opening hand going first. Without coin, it's a bit more difficult to do some of your combos, because like the coin just enables a lot of stuff. Cheaper Mountain Giant, more Cyclone cards.
Yeah, it's interesting. This is where the mulligan does get interesting for me, because I don't know if this is correct, but I completely understand it, because you need stuff to do, and that helps a lot.
Oh yeah.
We might even see Ping turn 2, Buffoon, and then Apprentice, Banana, go. Unless there's an invocation, which, whatever. Sure.
In some cases, I've seen people, she might not do it now, but some people have also played like Apprentice on 2. Just say, all right, I hope you don't have anything, and then they go Buffoon, buff up the Apprentice, and then suddenly, you're kind of beating the opponent down. But I think this is one of the matchups where you don't want to do that, because Blitzchung can just go something like Spring Pod, Timber, or even just Spring Pod by itself can clear it off. So
that's the problem. It's just a 1-card requirement, and a card you often want in your open hand anyway. And for me as well, one thing... I think you still Buffoon.
Yeah, no, you still Buffoon. No, you don't do it this turn.
Yeah.
You just weave in the bananas. This also means... Well, go ahead.
Okay. I'll go, then you go.
Sure.
Deal? Okay. You can go first next time.
Okay.
But what I was going to say is, we talk a lot about the variance in Mage spells. But I feel like versus Hunter, the variance doesn't feel as bad, because all of the AoE is good. Blast Wave is good enough.
Yeah.
Right? All of the AoE is good enough. All of the direct damage is good enough to kill specific tools, to kill specific minions, and then you have the tools to more minion generation is obviously what you want in this deck anyway. So I feel like in this matchup, the random spells you're going to generate, or Patrick's going to generate from this big turn, are always going to be at minimum decent. At minimum, there's going to be no whiffs.
I wanted to go in very quickly, because...
Yeah, you need to make some decisions
Not that many decisions, but depending on what's off a magic trick, you could take a long time to think about that. So
I've magic tricked 5 times in a row before. I'm not even joking. I'm not even joking. Magic trick, magic trick, magic.
So she actually has the mana to pick up Entity here. And I really like this. It's just something else that helps you fight a little bit for board. And it's a secret that makes Blitzchung potentially have to consider playing around. So I like this a lot, since you have the evocation for the Mana Cyclone.
It's like the perfect turn, right?
No, this is really good. The only thing... Ray of Frost instead of the Giant would have been the perfect turn. It's nice having the Giant as something to develop, but Ray of Frost would have also let you kill off the Amisha.
I think I'd rather take a giant.
Yeah?
Because a giant's natural minion you can do, you know, spells are
That's
great.
true,
but,
true.
but the thing is, this giant, although it's going up in mana cost, is very quickly going to go back down again as soon as the Cyclone hits the board. So the giant is sick, because Lloyd could just play it next turn. Did get a Ray of Frost anyway, just do it all.
Cool.
Okay, so there's the Lunar Pocket Galaxy as well. Small note, Patra is playing one Sandbinder and a Luna, so Luna's Pocket Galaxy with Luna is often pretty decent too.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool combo. That's why they're named after each other. Well, the
Like
galaxy
chicken
after Luna.
Are you sure?
Yeah. The galaxy belongs to Luna.
Okay. I was just making sure we understood the chicken and egg scenario.
No.
And
I think it's a
you know,
little bit different.
Yeah,
but
it is. That's
It's
what I'm
very
saying.
similar though, yeah.
Could fall into that trap though. Was Luna named after the galaxy, so she made a pocket version of it? Ah, think about that one.
Blitzstring taking a risk here. Obviously, it is technically a random secret. Patra did discover it, but the chances of it being counterspell aren't that likely. So he does just go for the mark shot, saying, I just want that apprentice off the board. Works
Yeah, the
out.
big key is she didn't discover it, right?
Yeah.
'Cause yeah, a lot of the times, for example, in Keysmith, at the moment, often gives you the secret that you really want. So the giant there, like I said, was important as far as I'm concerned. Getting something down to play and actually provide a threat is huge, because all the spells in the world, unless they're all fireballs and frostbolts, you still have to win the game.
There
at some
is
point.
the only way to get at this from Blitzstrung's point of view is literally the one of Deadly Shot? Yeah, one Deadly Shot on the main list, and I don't even think you'd want to take the 1 and 3 here.
I think you just Hunter's Mark Kill Command, right?
Oh yeah, I guess you can do that. Oh, I didn't see the Kill Command was hiding behind the Hounds. I was
There's a
looking
lot
at
of
the
cards in
Hound.
hand,
Yeah.
to be fair.
But still, like from Patra's perspective, if the Hunter's reacting, that's good for you, because normally the Hunter's
Oh, 100%,
going in
yeah,
and you're like,
100%.
okay, I need to stop damage, I need to develop my own game plan, but this is... Patra's in a good spot here.
Yeah, one thing to note though, Hunter has gotten a lot better because of Call the Wild. Not Call the Wild, I always call that
Master's
Master's
Call,
Call.
yeah.
I always call it Call the Wild, honestly, it's crazy. Because I play the deck a lot. But yeah, Master's Call means the deck's gotten a lot better at playing it a little bit slower and playing a little bit more combo. Already, look at Tundra's Rhino Unleash Hyena. It's a very straightforward entry combo sort of thing, but that is scary. And Patra can't just go wide with a load of little things, because the second the taunts go away,
I
she
actually
could just
don't
die.
like this from I want her to develop the Spellbender here instead of go Magic Trick, because there's very few things you could actually get off of this you want to play this turn anyways.
Or even if you can play them, they don't make an impact, right?
Well, that's what I'm saying. And, if she's doing this because she wants to go Cyclone, I feel like you're not getting enough Cyclone value. Like, sure, your hand's already kind of full, but you can save the Cyclone for later. It doesn't have to come down now. Now, I was saying she was in a good spot last turn, but now that the Giant's gone, she doesn't have that much to develop, which is why I kind of want the Spellbender to kind of,
Right.
if she can't develop her own game plan, kind of try to put a wrench in Blitzstrung's, you know?
And that's the problem with just a hard play Giant, is that, again, Patra is playing Archmage Antonidas, but outside of that, it's all about Conjurer's Call on Giants. And now you don't have any. But, you know, obviously there isn't a Conjurer's Call in hand anyway, so she had to do something. But I just mean, like, the repercussions of losing your Giant solo.
Yeah. I feel like the Spellbender would have been much, much better. With the Magic Trick, you're not even 100% sure. I mean, against Hunter, you can kind of get a sense of some of the spells that are good against Hunter, but depending on the situation, you might not know exactly which spell is the exact one you want. Like, for example, with this Unleash coming out, alright, well, most of the minions are going to be traded off, but let's say there were some Hounds left on the board. Instead of Frostbolt, maybe you would have wanted a Shooting Star. Right, so
yeah, exactly.
You don't quite know the exact card you need, and you just had a play that was just good there. And in the Spellbender, with a Mark Shot and a Kill Command and a Hunter's Mark gone, there's not that many more ways to proc it, so if you just block Dire Frenzy, that's kind of huge. And if they
Really
have
is,
to play
yeah.
Dire Frenzy, and they just say, alright, if you have Spellbender, you have Spellbender, you get a 4/6. So, I don't know.
I think as well, the real fear, or what I found was very powerful with this matchup specifically, is the Zul'jin turn often has very limited answers from the mage. If you get to play Zul'jin, I mean, most classes have this issue, but Warriors have Brawl, for example, but as the mage, unless you have very specific, like, sort of generated spells, or you lethal them, you've got very few answers to that board, and you will often just die.
There's a few Unleash the Beast on the board, you know,
Yeah.
the Master's Calls go off.
Animal Comp's a big deal too.
A Deadly Shot goes off sometimes.
Right, yeah. It's kind of scary, isn't it? And if Blitzstring gets there, and with the Unleash the Beast, and, you know, even like a Tundra Rhino and some Shimmer Flies, you've got enough stuff to bridge the gap to turn 10 quite easily.
Patrick cleaning up the Scavenging Hyena here. Definitely good. You don't want that lying around. Ice Bear can help stall a bit later, get some extra health. Blitzstring has a few options here.
I'd really like Shimmer Fly and Unleash the Beast.
Yeah, just get it out there, spend the mana. You have Zul'jin. I don't hate this.
I think I prefer doing it with more stuff, or doing it with an animal companion.
Yeah, there's a bunch of random stuff in Patrick's hand. I'd rather she use that to like get rid of Unleash the Beast. Obviously, we can see that very few of those cards are actually going to help her clean up the Tundra Rhino, but I feel like this is just a fine turning out the Unleash the Beast.
Rapid Fire's not half bad either.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I like Unleash the Beast because it often doesn't help you anyway. So just play it to kill something off and give the threat of a 5/5. Then play it. You could have played it this turn with a Shimmerfly, and then next turn you can play it with another 1-drop, and then just 2 1-drops. Then keep pushing, and then just tell like. Patrick cannot feel comfortable playing a giant Conjurers into a board that already has a 5/5 on it, or even a 5/3 or whatever, right? Because you lose almost half your giant already, and Hunter's pretty good at damage from hand.
Crossbow coming out from Patrick. She could develop the Sea Giant, but I don't think leaving a Rhino on the board is a good idea. So
it's almost like not developing the Sea Giant is leaving a Rhino on board, because it's the same thing. It has to be
she's considering Cinderstorm. Maybe just get it out of the hand now. But I think you just want to Fire Blast and say, all right, let's just be safe.
You're not hitting too hard of a punish leaving a Timberwolf up for 1 turn. But still, this is the trick, right?
So Patrick knows that there's another Rush minion in Blitzchung's hand, one of the leftover links.
I think you trade that 2-1 off.
Yeah, that's fine.
You do have to have, while you've not got a deadly shot, you do have to have a mind for Sea Giant at least. So
right.
I really like this play from Blitzchung. Blitzchung plays so solid, honestly. It's like, I can't even often recall plays where I'm like, nah, I don't think I would have done that. Maybe there was the Rhino play, but outside of that, I don't know. Blitzchung plays very, very solid.
Nova Snap Freeze an option here.
It's tough though, right? Because it's just one of 2 5/5s that are in hand. It's like, yeah, Mage, how does it feel seeing your opponent play a spell and know they have the same one again in hand? Welcome to our world with Conjurer's Calling.
What I was getting at with the entity from Patrick, like she knew that there was another 1/1 Rush in Blitzchung's hand, but Blitzchung also knows that Patrick knows that. So by playing the mirror entity, maybe she was trying to bait Blitzchung, making him think that like, oh, I wouldn't play another entity if there was a 1/1. Blitzchung wasn't having any of that.
Well, also as well, it's like, well, I make them spend 1 mana on a 1/1.
Sure.
I mean, yeah, you don't have anything else to do. Of like, because also Hunter doesn't have that many minions that they would play into entity that are that good for you anyway, right? Yeah, there's not that much stuff.
Losing a Conch. So Patrick just went Book of Spectres, drew 3 cards. One was a Conch Calling. I do agree she needed to do something and just at some point take the risk, because you can't just remove Hunter's stuff forever, right? You need to develop your own game plan and win, because eventually the Hunter is going to do something that you can't remove.
This turn.
Yeah.
All this is now is, I think Derek will correct me if this is too old a meme to go to, but he's basically slapping Zul'jin on the top of the head, saying you can fit a lot of spells in this. It's just jamming all. I mean, this is just a good turn anyway. But the fact you just lock it into Zul'jin doesn't have to be played next turn at all. There's still the second, Unleash the Beast and so on. But just locking it in and saying, Patrick, you don't only have to deal with this board. If you deal with it, I can just do it again.
Yep.
And then deal with it the second time. It's extremely unlikely.
No, I think that meme's fresh enough. You're good.
Okay.
I mean, I'm sure Derek will let you know after. But
did you see Derek's interview thing he tweeted?
No, I don't think I did.
Okay, so I'm not going to spoil it.
Okay.
But I'll give you the build-up.
Sure.
The build-up it's basically a clip, and it's TJ and Frodan doing a post-match interview for Grandmasters.
Okay.
Americas, of course.
Sure.
That's all I'm going to say.
All right. Gotcha.
Look at the tweet, guys. Nice shout out for Derek there. But it is very funny. I watched it when I woke up this morning, and it was a weird video to watch as soon as you wake up. But let's get back to this game. What does Patrick even do? What can she even do?
So you're at 25 health. You can afford to take 10 once. So maybe you
Well,
just say,
twice,
all right,
actually, if
sure.
you want to get technical.
Maybe she just takes this turn and say, all right, I need to get stuff on the board. Like a Conch Calling's gone, I can't really just keep digging for other stuff, so let's go. And I do like that she took this line. It doesn't look great, obviously, but you need to do something, and doing nothing is much, much worse. Freezing Trap is sick. The Kill Command's sick too. The Cybertext trip's not bad. You get some more gas. But I think we will see a Freezing Trap here. Maybe not. Maybe.
I think.
What? Go
This
for
is
it.
just the way I play. I think I would just Kill Command the name, Kill Command face or something.
If Patra was a bit lower, I'd be okay with it. I mean, sure, you can push 10 this turn, but
But then you just play Zul'jin and he Kill Command's face again. With the Huffer.
could be your face, though.
No. That's not how you play Hunter language check. Are you a Hunter player? Are you a...
I played it at Worlds. It was okay.
Yeah. So by the sounds of it, no.
Too soon, Raven.
Oh, sorry, mate.
It's okay. Yeah, I'm not the... Okay.
Okay, that's a good card. Never mind. Forget about it all. Play the Dire Frenzy, go face.
Dr. Timberwolf. Oink Oink?
Yes.
Oink Oink?
No.
No?
I think...
I like Freezing Trap
I-
trade, but
I-
Oink Oink is tempting.
Well, I was going to Dire Frenzy the 5/5s, believe it or not. Because you get a rushing minion that kills a giant.
5/5s can't go face.
No, but they kill a giant, which can be a taunt, which effectively opens up face damage.
Okay. Blitzstring killing off the Mountain Giant that can be Conjurer's Calling into a taunt, and rightfully so.
I will say as well, though, this whole choice from Blitzchung is reflective of the Conjurer's Calling being thrown away.
Oh yeah.
By the because Freezing Trap doesn't often do too much if your opponent's planning to just Conjurers, and then I'll just kill you next turn when Freezing Trap doesn't matter.
Right.
Whereas with one of the Conjurers gone away, Blitzchung is and the way Patra's played. For example, is Patra ever going to play Mountain Giant, Sea Giant when she has a Conjurers in hand? No.
Probably not.
Literally don't
Yeah.
make that play. You Mountain Giant and Conjurers, or whatever. So the Blitzchung is fully aware that the second Conjurers isn't available. Hence why Freezing Trap is so much better than it is or would be otherwise. So just heads up play and keeping with the flow of the game,
Yeah,
and
I like it a
there's
lot.
changes in the game.
Patra smelling a Freezing Trap. She can throw down the Zilliax, aim at the 5/5. If it's not Freezing Trap, you can Cinderstorm to try and clean up. But if it is Freezing Trap, then you don't get your Giant frozen at least. I'd like to see trade Spellbender Ping.
No face.
Maybe. You're at 17.
If you trade it, how do you ever win? Is my I'm not saying I'm right again. It's just my constant fear that when you play defensive with this deck against a deck that can now just remove stuff or push more damage this turn, how do you win?
Well, first of all, I think from Patrick's perspective, if Blitzchung ever has Zul'jin, you're not getting the win. Like it's very, very
Right.
unlikely this ever turns into a win out from
Order.
Patra.
So sick.
But if you just go face it from Patrick's perspective, and Blitzchung deals with your Giant, you're pretty much dead.
Okay.
Like, there's just so many ways for that Giant to be cleared if you...
Oh, bad Hunter play, Blitzchung. Come on.
I mean,
Bad Hunter play, Blitzchung.
do.
Also, one of the reasons why I like the Dire Frenzy earlier is that you either Zul'jin Masters calls and plays Dire Frenzy, so it increases like really good chances if you draw in the big beast to play. This was still obviously
This was still good. It could have been
winning Zul'jin, of
right,
course, but when like Zul'jin in post Dire Frenzy is a beautiful thing as long
Yeah.
as it doesn't go off first. with
I
no
mean,
beasts.
look at Blitz. Even his hand before and after, right? He just gains so many more resources as well.
Oh, it's sick. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
stupid.
Patra knows it's a Freezing Trap because that's what was played earlier this game. Zul'jin replaying all spells that have been played previously.
Correct.
This game, not ever.
Ever. Never
This
ends.
set, can
Like,
you imagine? That'd be crazy.
Yeah. Oh, that. I mean, I literally think it's uncodable because Hearthstone's
It'd be
not
across,
played
yeah,
in
multiple
fixed
games.
series. But imagine that.
Yeah, we'll be seeing a lot of Hunter.
Imagine if like the more you know the way there's the pack thing where the more packs you open without a legendary, the
Sure.
more chance you get
Yeah.
a legendary. I can't remember what do they call it.
The pity timer.
Yes. Imagine if there's pay time for the coin.
Ooh.
The more times you play a game without coin, the more chance there is to get a coin. That's interesting.
Funny you say that. If you talk to some pro players, some will try to
Believe.
convince you. No, yeah,
Yeah.
they believe. Yeah.
Although the weird thing is the argument for belief that you get the coin 50% of the time? Because that's not really an argument, is it?
Oh,
Because
no.
that's part of,
They believe
like,
it's
you're meant
more
to get
likely
the
in some
coin.
cases. Yeah.
Oh, okay. It's like you're meant to get the coin 50% of the
course.
time, right? So it's like such a roundabout argument. But yeah, you know, while we're talking absolute gibberish, it's mainly because we're giving time for Patrick to just work out if there's any chance of winning this game, because I cannot see it. Even you look at things like the Stranglethorn Tiger, forget about Dire Frenzy and the Animal Companion potentially getting some more damage along with the hero power over a few turns. Even just the Tiger playing it and then hitting face pretty much wins Blitzchung the game. So it's just like, that's just one card out of a full hand right now.
It's interesting if you compare this to the Mech Hunter matchup, right? Against the Mech Hunter just has a very, very straightforward game plan. And as the reason we saw the Mage being able to win that game with the Omega Medic and Ziliax coming back with a healing is just because the Mech Hunter just didn't have any more gas, and that was kind of it. But Blitzchung, sure, his initial assault didn't get there, like his secondary assault didn't get there, but he just has enough stuff. Yeah. All right, sure. Like even if Patra happens to do like something crazy miraculous like that, let's find 3 Omega Medics, you know, throw in a couple more Ziliaxes, a few Face Collectors. Blitzchung just has gas. Like,
yeah, I mean, I'm kind of confused by this play though.
The Snake Trap.
Everything.
I missed the attack. So the
attack went into the 3-1. He wants to trade off the Sorcerer's Apprentice.
Right.
I think Blitzchung might be thinking, how in the world do I lose this game? Whereas maybe mindlessly, I would have gone, Tundra Rhino, Dire Frenzy, or Tundra Rhino Animal Companion.
I think even save that for
like
now.
A ton of damage to the face.
I mean, there's only like 3 random secrets, 3 random spells left in Patra's hand. I think Blitzchung just wants a big board here. Like the Tundra Rhino, if you just happen to, well, actually, first of all, Patra's running Snap Freeze in the deck, so that could just let, like, if you spend 9 mana on the Rhino Dire Frenzy, it's possible there's some sort of blowout. Okay.
Well, at minimum, you can put them to 2, guaranteed, right? You put them to 1 guaranteed, don't you?
Would it have been enough?
Oh, no. Sorry. No. It'll be 5. Okay, so not that. What else?
6 damage you would have, I think.
So, what about the Animal Companion Rhino hero power? That would have been a lot of damage.
Patra trying to go for the Mulch Muncher out, get that frozen, and then kill something else.
That barrier has to happen, right?
10, 14. Yeah, the barrier does have to happen. If it does,
then it's not.
Yeah, it's not going to be enough. But at this point, if Patrick Conj Callings, it's still not going to be enough either way.
The problem with the Conjurer's Calling is there's now not enough room to get Big Bag Archmage and summon a 6-drop.
Right.
So you literally cannot get a taunt, and you know the Mulch Munchers are going to be bounced, so that's still not looking great.
I didn't realize Blitzchung was in fatigue, but
he played both Krakens before Zildjian.
Oh, that would escalate things really quickly.
Just going to discover the ice barrier, but I'm pretty sure that's just fine. Again, like I mentioned, this Tiger, it's just always 5 damage at a complete minimum. It's insane.
Curious as to why he didn't play in the middle, but that's fine. Player on Kono Cold.
Oh, sure, okay. I was like, what are you playing on? Just checking, going through the motions of saying, okay, now there's 14 damage.
All right.
I'll take that.
A lot of different lethals here with Blitzchung.
Yeah,
it's going to go with Dire Frenzy Ping.
So much. It's insane, and there's the victory for Blitzchung. And again, you know, to me, it felt one-sided. Maybe I've been too successful in this matchup with specifically, I've been jamming a lot of Blitzchung's Hunter as soon as I saw it released.
Yep.
But I feel like it's a really, really good matchup for this Hunter, and I think it's going to be a tough one for Patra to deal with, because if we look at her options, her tertiary deck removes a Snap Freeze Antonidas and 2 Mountain Giants. I do like the heads-up play of that, it's something we've not seen before, but adds 2 Dart Frogs, Mind Control Tech, and Vex Crow, as well as a Frostbolt #2.
So it helps a lot, yeah.
But the problem is,
you lose gas then.
Yeah, you still need to kill them.
Things.
Like the mid-range hunter can go for a long time, as we've seen, and with Zildjian, it's going to be absolutely incredible. So that was game number 1. Blitzchung takes the win with this mid-range hunter against the mage. So the mage tests just keep on coming. We've only got a game or 2 left of today, so don't go anywhere, and we're going to be right back.
Hi, my name is Hyunjae Jang, and my Hearthstone nickname is Dun. I'm streaming on Twitch. 처음 그랜드마스터가 되었을 때는 어느 정도 좀 하위 그룹은 면하고 싶다라는 생각도 하기는 했었는데 확실하게 제가 프로로서의 모습을 보여주고 싶기 때문에 저는 플레이오프까지는 좀 목표를 두고 있습니다. 이제 제가 하스스톤을 하고 나서 가장 많이 바뀐 점 중에 하나가 부모님이 이 게임에 관심을 가지게 되고 관심을 가지게 되시고 또 아버지 같은 경우에는 방송에 관심을 가지게 되셨고 어머니 같은 경우에는 실제로 이 하스스톤을 직접 플레이하고 계신다는 걸 좀 하스스톤 하고 나서 많이 바뀐 점인 것 같습니다. 자, 방송을 하는 걸 이제 보는 걸 굉장히 관심을 가지고 계시고 아침에 이제 방송을 안 켰을 때 가끔 연락을 하시기도 합니다. 이제 2015년에 제가 처음으로 이제 우승을 하게 됐을 때 그때 한국에서 처음으로 1억이라는 상금을 획득하게 됐고 이제 그걸 기념하듯이 팬분들이 그 100K 원에 대해서 좀 그런 식으로 애칭으로 1던이라고 불러줬던 그게 유래가 됐습니다.
My name is Patrick Cadmus, and my handle on Twitter is Patrick Cadmus, and my Battle.net tag is Patra. The person that stands out the most to me is Tyler, while I was lining up outside of Worlds. And I think I'd love to beat him, like a streamer versus streamer battle. An average day for me would be waking up, walking my dog, eating while watching someone stream, and then starting up my stream, and then after that, walking my dog again, eating again, and then sleeping. I do think that, yeah, I'm one of the weakest players in this tournament. Like, I would say I'm an underdog. And also, just like being on HGG, I remember seeing people predict that New Zealand would be at the very bottom, but we managed to get top 8 basically both years in a row. And so I do feel there's a lot of pressure for me. I feel like New Zealand is just wanting me to do well, and all the women that are watching me who play Hearthstone are just watching me, and I want to do well for them too. So I remember that pressure hitting me yesterday, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's actually hitting me now. But yeah, I feel okay about it now, and I think I can do it. And I'll do my best, of course.
Patra versus Blitzchung here, game number 2. We've got Mage versus Hunter, so just yet another test for this, you know, this Cyclone Mage that so many players are playing on ladder, bringing to tournaments, bringing to Grandmasters as well. And this test, I think, is going to be a very difficult one. I do favor this Hunter list quite heavily, and it's pretty good heads up as a player. Blitzchung is actually the only player to bring this style of list, and he has moved over to his tertiary list. Patra is playing the same primary. Let's check out Blitzchung's tertiary list to see what he's changed over and what advantages you think he gives him.
Alright, so Blitzchung chose to cut a Mark Shot, a Tiger, and a Rhino to put in a Hatchet, a second copy of Unleash the Hounds, and one copy of Baited Arrow. So the Unleash the Hounds, recognizing that against a big board where, well, A, after just post-conjuring, there's going to be a lot of minions on the board, or B, just like mirror images that are trying to stop you from getting through. Unleash the Hounds clears that really quickly with a Timber Wolf, and then lets you push through with your normal board, or it lets you just clear if you didn't have a board to begin with. So I like an extra copy of Unleash. The Hatchet can help just deal with a Banana Buffoon on curve. It can deal with images itself if you don't have the Unleash, Apprentice, stuff like that. And Baited Arrow does a very similar thing. You can get behind the images. And also,
a big no is Baited Arrow is just damage to face sometimes.
Face.
It's just extra damage, which helps out. So yeah, you know, we might see that. The only just a weird thing for me is that Patra stayed on the primary deck. Don't get me wrong, the deck's solid. It's definitely not too shabby whatsoever. But she has a deck that has 2 Magic Dart Frogs, an additional Frostbolt, a Mind Control tech, and a Vex Crow, which to me seems good versus Hunter. But the removals, Archmage Anti is fine, Snapfreeze fine, Sandbinder fine. But the 2 Mountain Giants, do you think there's a certain level of fear of without Mountain Giants you can't actually swing the game hard enough? And if that's true, why are they removed in the first place?
That's a good question. I'm surprised to see Mountain Giants cut. It's possible that was tailored for a more aggressive deck she was expecting.
Yeah, like Zoo and Druid.
Right, like Zoo, Token Druid, even Mech Hunter. I'm not even sure that you'd want to cut Giants against Mech Hunter because you need some sort of game plan to get you there.
Right.
But against Zoo or Token Druid, I feel like cutting the Giants could work out for you. The Mountain Giants could work out for you.
Okay, well, just a reminder, Patra, of course, you can see on screen, is playing Mountain Giant. She is on her primary list, so the list we saw last game. Blitzchung shifted over to this tertiary list, which is much more just top face aggressive. It does hurt me a little bit that the Stranglethorn Tiger was removed because I think that card's sick. But yeah, we'll see what he does. And here's the first decision point, right? Aggressive cards versus Zul'jin. He picks aggressive.
Patra's obviously not going to know this. She can't really play expecting, oh, you know.
No Zul'jin. Yeah.
Right. So she's on still the normal game plan, excuse me. Blitzchung, however, knows he needs to be a lot more aggressive now because of that choice.
Oh, Bomb Toss, that'll do. I'll switch over to Mech Hunter. Patra sees Bomb Toss, is like, wait, what? What were the 10 cards again? Let me just check.
Blitzchung holding the Timberwolf here. It would only push 1 damage, but it is more on board. Yeah, I think he's holding it for the Unleash.
Yeah. Because if the images come down, right? The problem is you don't want to see the big turn and then not have it, right? And have it cleaned off because it's just a waste.
Ooh, just Arcane Intellect from Patra coming out here. I mean, not a whole lot you can do. Sure, you can double Ray of Frost the Hyena.
I'm gonna sell you a play. Right?
Apprentice, Coin, AI, double Ray of Frost.
Oh no, Blitzchung play. Of course, I'm
okay, yeah, go for it.
Blitzchung bomb tosses his own minion to buff the Hyena.
Yeah, I think that's fine. I like it.
That seems sick. Because the problem is, Ray of Frost, like, I was a little bit... Patra made a good play just getting some draw done, because there's nothing for the Hyena or a minion to trade into to buff the Hyena. Yeah. But the problem is, Ray of Frost just kills it if it's 2/2.
Yeah.
This would make it much more difficult. Obviously, we see Patra's double Snap Freeze, which helps a lot. But I think I would like to see the Bomb Toss on the 1/1 here. Maybe I'm too...
Maybe too fancy. Remember what happens when you make fancy plays, Raven?
Oh, I can make fancy plays with Hunter, though. It's the one class I think I can.
I think just weaving it in is fine. If it gets frozen, there's going to be a lot of other stuff going on anyway, so I don't think Blitzchung's too concerned with buffing it just to get out of Ray of Frost range. Like, honestly, if Patra's double Ray of Frost thing, she can still just ping it off later as well.
True.
Or even on the same turn, depending on what spell she would use.
I'm going to sell you a play next turn. Baited Arrow your own minion.
That is much better, because it instead of developing a 0/2 that you can't really synergize with, you develop a 5/5.
Right. Much harder for Patra to deal with too. Although these snap freezes, you can see with the Sorcerer's Apprentice and the Ray of Frost, deal with anything that is targetable.
It's true. I wouldn't be surprised to see Mountain Giant Ray of Frost here.
Okay, next question. Do you Ray of Frost the 1/1 or the 2/2?
The 2/2.
Okay.
You have Snap Freeze, so you don't care if that gets bigger. She could even just not.
She's gonna kill it.
I'm not in love with this play, but okay.
What don't you like about this play?
You're using Coin here and both Rays of Frost. Like, your next couple... I guess you do have Sandbinder, so you have something to do next turn. I just feel like you're not getting value out of the Sorcerer's Apprentice.
So my thought is the problem that without... You might not draw Mana Cyclone this game.
Right, that's true.
And without that, well, you can save cards for a day that's never going to come,
You have Tony in hand, too. It's unlikely you get to that point, but the Hunter hasn't done that much. You didn't see a Dire Frenzy come down. This is probably just fine.
Whoa, that's a little bit scary too, Hunting Party. Not a card you're going to put in your deck, but a card that's scary in itself anyway.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be too influential this game. Blitzchung clearing up the board here. Invests a lot of resources, but does clear the board. Also has to give up the Timberwolf for that, so Unleash becomes a bit more difficult to utilize against the Mirror Images.
Also no fear of the Giant Conjurers, right?
Yeah.
Because it's not, the hand size isn't small.
Well, I don't like that Mirror Images. I think Petra needs to slow down a little bit. I think the Apprentice turn was okay, but I would have liked saving it. The Sandbiter does mean you're likely to get a Cyclone back, and with all these cheap spells in hand...
Okay, that's a good one.
That's turn 6, it's green.
It's so good. You know what's really funny is like, I don't think people valued Rush that much, and now just because of the state of the Hearthstone meta, Rush is fantastic. Like a 6 mana 5/5 is a bad card, but when you add up 6 mana 5/5 with Rush, but then it also adds another one in your hand. Like, wow,
pretty cool.
the card's nuts. So good.
I mean, imagine now Patra had an apprentice left over, right?
Oh, it's easy to say
okay,
now. Like,
yeah. So we're
I'm
sure,
gonna do this.
Okay, fine.
No, go on.
But not even speaking results oriented. Like obviously, sure, she needed to drop the Cyclone, but that was very likely with the Sandbiter already in hand. And even
one giant already played.
True, it's possible she could have drawn another giant instead. But at that point, fine, you have another giant. And even if you have the other giant, it's better to have more cards in hand so that giant is playable. I don't know if I like the Apprentice.
So,
it pushes more on board, but your opponent has a hatchet already. You don't even have conch calling, so it's not like you're trying to pull away from the giant and say, deal with my Apprentice, leave my giant up. So I feel like it was used a bit too hastily.
So really, yeah, it's just the long-term game plan was not there. It's sacrificed for a short-term safety plan.
I didn't see the short-term payoff with the use of resources there. Obviously, the Hyena's, off the board at that point, but...
Okay, decent pulls, actually.
Still
Cone
good,
of Cold
yep.
and a Flame Strike, that is nothing to sniff at. And even Splitting Image, with the way this deck works, can be consistently quite good. Blitzchung has a choice to trade off or push, but I think Blitzchung is just very happy right now with a relatively empty board.
Yeah, seems fine. Patra is running Sea Giants, right? So
yeah, but the slow, right?
Yeah.
That's the problem. Sea Giant, great, you're dead.
you can play it now for 4 mana
Yeah,
and conch
dead.
calling it, but you're just dead if you do that. 6, 8, 10, 12, so yeah, exactly lethal. On board anyways.
Flame Strike.
Not bad. On curve. Cleans up
Still
the board.
2 damage from the bomb.
And you kind of see the aggressive game plan from Blitzchung, recognizing that
So
holding...
sick. The matchup is so, honestly, when I've been playing this, the matchup is so hard for the mage.
No, I agree.
It's
And
insane.
Blitzchung definitely recognizes what he needs to do, because like, you can't just wait. Sure, Zul'jin is great once you get to that point, but you need to be able to do other stuff. Otherwise, you give the mage time.
But the problem is, like, versus, like, mech is one-dimensional, and it can be frozen out, literally,
yep.
right? Whereas this deck, I feel like there are so many different ways to push damage from hand, through spell, through discovery of spells, and through minions, that it's so much more difficult to play around. Like, I feel this is better than Mech Hunter. Like I said, maybe I'm just biased, I prefer the style. But I feel like the flexibility is the power in this deck.
I agree. I like this deck a lot. I'm surprised more people didn't try this out. I mean, Meg Hunter's been bouncing around a lot very recently, so it's possible that was kind of flavorful in people's mind. Like, oh, you know what, Meg Hunter's pretty good again. Let me try Meg Hunter. I've been seeing a lot of that. So maybe it was also just a matter of people haven't been testing all the different options available. I mean, there are a lot of decks, and the nerfs happening so recently. You can't play 50 decks and say, okay, this is the one I want.
Right, yeah. Time is definitely a factor when these players have to submit. The nerfs happened earlier this week, and then boom, you've got to submit for your weekend. There's different, there's buffs coming later, then boom, they're going to have to submit again. So it's the pressure on these players, and there is an extra level of skill requirement. Is being able to submit a list. You know a lot better than I do that the pressure you must feel to say, okay, I'm submitting this.
I need to lock it in.
It's insane. Because once you've done it, and that's just it for the weekend.
Oh, yeah, it doesn't hit anything.
Is it just too little, too late?
The conch would be great here if you had something on the board to hit, because this would be you're like, all right, this is my go turn. The problem is conjuring the Luna doesn't do a whole lot. You have the Kona Cold. Maybe this might be the play. You've seen it Unleash. What if you just go face, Khadgar, Cone of Cold, and then conch calling the Luna?
That's what I was piecing together.
I think that's the line.
And then next turn you just cross your fingers and then say this is the game right now, let's see. But I definitely think playing aggressive you just have to do.
Yeah, I like this.
Fortunately for Patra, it's not going to work. Because depending on what she summons, she's going to be very dead. Unless there's something I'm not thinking about that heals.
We must cleanse the Sunwell.
Oh wow, 1 health
Not
off
quite.
saving the day. She trades off the minions.
Yeah.
He would have stopped the kill command being
So
proc.
Blitzchung has kill command for 5 damage with a beast activating it. There's the baited arrow for 3 damage. That's 8. Hero power is 10. Patra does not have any secrets up, so this is going to be Blitzchung taking a 2-0 victory for Patra.
Yeah, really, really heads up. And really good bring that's worked out very well for Blitzchung in this matchup. So this is first
This works
opponent
too,
done
yeah.
for the weekend for Blitzchung. But I love the pick straight away. He's the only player in Asia Pacific that's brought this specific style of hunter, and it's paying off in spades.
Yeah, very, very powerful, very good read. Definitely a rough match for Patra. Right.
It's tough though, and again, like
It's just difficult to play out, yeah.
you know, when you wind it back, it's difficult when you realize there's a hole in your strategy, right? Because Patch's main deck had weaknesses versus Hunter. The snap freezes don't really do much. There's like 2 cards that are harder to use. And then the tertiary deck is anti-aggro, but not good enough to deal with Hunter. And obviously the secondary deck was a much more anti-control, anti-warrior late game, which also will die versus mid-range Hunter. So I feel like this is where players can really gain an edge in terms of submission, because Blitzchung just got the hit perfect. He presumed a lot of mage. This deck specifically does good versus mage, whilst maybe dodging the obvious techs. I don't know, but it worked out very, very well for Blitzchung.
Yep.
So do you think there's anything that, I mean, he did move over to this tertiary deck. What do you make of this tertiary list? Like the Mark Shot, Stranglethorn Tiger, Tundra Rhino gone, and then Hatchet, Hounds, Baited Arrow added.
I mean, we saw that with the Unleash the Hounds there, so the mage has to do some sort of explosive turn, right? Obviously, outside of Mountain Giant Conch Calling, you need to do some sort of Cyclone turn, which means that included in that you'd probably want some mirror images to protect a little bit, have the Apprentice there as well. And against that, all those minions have 2 health, so having an extra Unleash the Hounds helps you get through that. If they don't have mirror images there, the Hatchet gets through it as well, and even just the Baited Arrow can get through all of that. It's good against all of them. All of them can go face as well. They're flexible, they're good in what Blitzchung wanted them to do, and we saw quite a bit of those. The Baited Arrow didn't really come out there at the end, but we saw what the Unleash did, right? And having 2 copies of that helped a lot. The Hatchet, 2 mana, 6 damage is crazy by itself too.
Yeah. Especially when there were like almost no decks that can actually beat a 1-drop.
Yeah,
on
right.
1 or 2, you know, depending. Obviously there's ping, you know, for mage, but
Sure.
in general,
always
like
clear.
your 1-drop just lives,
Yeah.
so it gets to survive long enough to proc that hatchet extra damage, of course. But yeah, that's unless I'm missing something, that's it for the day. We had 5 matches today, again as we do on a Friday and Saturday, and we have 6 coming up on the Sunday as well. So I believe that is going to be it for the day, unless production are going to tell me there's something else coming up. Okay, so we are just going to talk for just a minute. But yeah, what was the highlight match for you? Because we had some crazy series today.
So the highlight match for me is, I think you might know which one I'm going to tell you. Was it Glory versus? It was Glory versus Samuel Tsao.
Oh, okay.
That was. That's the kind of crazy Hearthstone I want to see. I think that's the crazy Hearthstone viewers want to tune in and see, where it's just these incredible, crazy games being piloted by very good players. Like, don't get me wrong, both these players are incredibly talented at the game, and it's just seeing some crazy Hearthstone where it's so back and forth, and it's just like, oh my god, like literally what can happen that can, you know, get Glory a win at this point. It's just Astral Rift into a Mega Medic with some Blast Wave sprinkled in, and
I know
it's very cool navigating around some of those crazy turns.
Yeah, it really is. And for me, I think we can just oh, sorry, we've got an interview. I did not realize. I apologize, everyone. We do have a winners interview already, so let's just see if Blitzchung is there.
Yeah, hi everyone.
Oh, hello, you can hear us all right?
Yeah.
Awesome. So first off, congratulations on the win, or your first win this week. Can you just tell us about your thought process in bringing this Hunter list? You're the only player who brought it to APAC, at least, and it seems to be doing pretty well so far.
Yeah. First of all, I think most of the people are predicting that Mage would be the best class after nerfs. Mm-hmm. And my strategy was basically trying to find something that is good against Mage. I wanted to test out things like Holy Wrath Paladin, Murloc Shaman. I tested out Mech Hunter a little bit, but I didn't quite like it. And yeah, but I just didn't have time to test out all this stuff. Mm-hmm. And mid-range Hunter is what I end up with, because I played this deck quite a lot even before nerfs.
Right. I mean, it seemed to work out pretty well. Is there any specific class or deck or archetype you were afraid to run into after you submitted mid-range Hunter? What is it you're trying to dodge potentially this weekend?
I think it is Holy Wrath Paladin, but I just don't think many people would bring it, and we can see no one bring it in APAC and Europe, right?
Yeah, I think there's 1 or 2 in Americas. I might be wrong. There's definitely 1. I've seen it on the lists. But yeah, it's a really good read. And how have you found like preparing for Grandmasters. You know, obviously the 2 weeks we've had have been a little bit crazy with week 1, and then obviously with the rogue nerfs. How have you been finding that? Have you been finding it difficult, or is this kind of preparation deck submission something you enjoy?
Well, I actually really enjoy that.
Nice.
Because especially for this week, because I think many of us were quite bored of the last meta.
Mm-hmm.
So I was really excited about the meta after nerfs, and I think I just having a good time preparing with my friends.
Awesome. Well, that's what Hearthstone's all about, isn't it? So congratulations, Blitzchung. I'll let you go and enjoy your victory, and we'll see you later this weekend.
Yeah, see you.
Okay, that's a very nice surprise. I didn't realize we were getting a Blitzchung interview. I'm very happy. First interview of APAC. We do obviously have some slight issues with being terrible people and not speaking enough languages. It means that we cannot speak to some of the players that aren't able to speak English. But let's check out the results for the day and get you caught up on what happened. So first off, we had Flurry continuing an absurd streak of 3 victories so far, straight in Grandmasters, versus over Rivius. So the Token Druid, what a lot of people put on to being a really good pick for this week, didn't end up making it versus Flurry's Mage. And then we had Shaxi take down Blood Trail with his Warrior in some convincing games. And then also Glory and Samuel Zhao, the match you were talking about, just a nutty series. So make sure to watch that one.
We had Dawn and Tyler facing off for that. Dawn taking one with his Mage over Tyler's Bomb Warrior, and also quite a very close set coming down to the wire there at the end. Patra versus Blitzchung was our final match of the day, and Blitzchung was able to take that with the Hunter. We're seeing at the end of the day, even with people expecting a lot of Mage and bringing decks that are trying to perform well against it, Mage has still come out on top here, right? 3 wins, 2 losses.
Yeah, I mean, that's just correct.
Small sample size, but it's still worth noting. The power of the deck is...
and also bear in mind, it's small sample size with extremely good players. So it's not as if you're running just, random people are playing these lists. These are literally some of the best players in the world. So yeah, Mage is still doing good enough to bring tons of different builds as well. So it's been a pretty sick first day for week 2 for us at least. And again, I don't know if the general viewer will know much about Blitzchung. All I'm going to say is he is very good at this game, and he's going to continue to do well. I have confidence in him, especially if he keeps bringing cool decks like mid-range hunter and just crushing people. But his read, was like
was great.
It's like, I didn't have much time to do it this week, but I thought this would be good, and I don't like this deck, but I thought this would be good versus this. And then he just got a great read and just took down Patra's Mage in quite convincing fashion. And I'm not 100% sure off the top of my head who his second opponent is for this week, but if he hits another Mage, then he'll be feeling very, very confident that Blitzchung is going to 2-0 this week. But that's going to be us for day number 1. This was Asia Pacific Grandmasters. If you want to watch even more Hearthstone, stay tuned, because I believe Admirable and Derek are going to be here taking over very, very quickly on the channel to continue with Europe. And depending on when you want to sleep, there is Americas pretty much straight after that. So we've got 3 more days of week 2 of Hearthstone Grandmasters here. But from Language Hacker and myself, have a fantastic night, morning or day, and we'll see you tomorrow.